The creation in the Bhagavatam. According to the third skanda of the Bhagavatam, in the very beginning, the whole earth was submerged in water. There was only one being, Narayana, who was lying on a giant serpent, the Adishesha. Narayana was in Yoga Nidra, a state of deep meditation, reveling in the bliss of his own self. Udaplitam Vishwamidam Tadasit Yannidraya Militadring Yamilayat Ahindra Talpedi Shayana Ekaha Kritachana Swatma Ratau Nirihaha. Shrimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Skanda, 8th Adhyaya, 10th verse. From Lord Narayana's navel sprang a lotus, and Brahma, the creator of the universe, appeared on the lotus. Who am I? How and where did I come from? How am I sitting on top of this lotus all alone? Brahma wondered. He looked here and there in all the directions, and he was immediately endowed with 4 heads to look in all the 4 directions. Brahma could not see anyone or anything. There was darkness everywhere. Brahma wondered how the lotus was standing all alone in the water without any support, and thought that surely there must be something underneath it. Reasoning thus, he decided to explore that. He dived into the water through the pores of the lotus stalk and travelled for a very long time, but was unable to reach its base. Becoming dejected, he gave up his search and again returned to the top of the lotus. Deciding to meditate, he controlled his breath, withdrew his mind from everything, and meditated with a single-minded devotion. After meditating for hundreds of years, finally realization dawned on him. In his heart, he could see the Supreme Person Narayana lying on a huge white serpent, Adishesha, having 1,000 hoods, which served as Narayana's umbrella. The god Narayana looked very charming. He was bedecked with fragrant flowers and precious jewels. The snake Adishesha appeared majestic. Each of its hoods had a resplendent gem which dazzled brightly, dispelling all the darkness. Brahma could also perceive the lotus arising from Lord Narayana's navel and could see himself sitting on the lotus. Brahma prayed to Bhagavan Vishnu and said, O Lord, let me carry out the work of creation with your blessings. Please help me create the world. Bhagavan Vishnu said, practice penance once more and offer worship through mantras sacred to me. Thereby, O Brahma, you shall find the worlds revealed in your heart. Bhuyastvam tapa atishta vidyam chaiva madashrayam tabhyam antar hridi brahman lokan rakshasya pavritan. Bhagavata Puranam, 3rd Skanda, 9th Adhyaya, 30th verse. Bhagavan Vishnu further said, O Brahma, create the 3 worlds and the beings who are lying merged in me now, as in the previous kalpa, by means of your own body which has evolved from me, and which is an embodiment of all the Vedas. Sarva Veda Mayenedam Atmanatmatma Yonina Prajasrija Yathapurvam Yaschamai Anusherate. Bhagavata Puranam, 3rd Skanda, 9th Adhyaya, 43rd verse. Then Brahma entered the corolla of the lotus and made it into 3 parts, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha and Swaha. The lotus was so big that it could be divided into 14 or even more parts. Padmakosham tadavishya bhagavat karma choditaha ekam vyabangshid uruda trida bhavyam visaptadha. Bhagavata Purana, 3rd Skanda, 10th Adhyaya, 8th verse. The jivas are said to experience the fruit of their actions in these three worlds. The people who practice Nishkama Karma are blessed to attain the Maha, Tapa, Jana and the Satyalokas. Time is the power of Bhagavan Vishnu, who appears in the form of the universe. As the universe exists today, so it was before and so it will continue to be hereafter. In the creation, the first is the creation of the Mahat Tattva, which takes place when the equilibrium of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, is disturbed by the will of God. The second is the evolution of the ego, Aham, from which proceed the 5 gross elements as well as the 5 senses of perception and the 5 organs of action. The third is the evolution of the subtle elements, which in their turn evolve the gross elements. The fourth is the evolution of the Indriyas, that is, the senses of perception and the 5 organs of action. The fifth is the evolution of the deities presiding over the Indriyas and the mind. The sixth is the evolution of Tamas, which clouds the mind of the Jivas. The seventh is the creation of plants, trees and the like proceeding from Brahma. The eighth is the creation of animals. The ninth is the creation of the human species. All these three, namely the immobile creation, the animals, birds and the human species, as well as the creation of the gods, are creations that have proceeded from divine Brahma. The creation of sages Sanaka and his brothers is considered as proceeding from both Vishnu Bhagavan and divine Brahma. The creation of heavenly beings consists of 8 varieties, namely the gods, mains and the demons, the Gandharvas and the Apsaras, the Yakshas and Rakshasas, the Siddhas, Charanas and Vidyadharas, the Bhutas, Pretas and Pishachas, and the Kinnaras, Kimpurushas and Ashwamukhas. Further, the divine Brahma evolved the 5 varieties of ignorance, namely Tamas or ignorance about one's own self, Moha or self-identification with the body, Mahamoha or the craving for enjoyment, Tamisra or anger, and Andhatamisra or looking upon death as one's own end. He was not pleased to see these wicked creations. Then, through his mind purified by meditation, Brahmadeva created the great sages Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana and Sanatkumara. Brahmadeva thought that his work of creation was proceeding very slowly and requested these 4 sons to get offsprings. Sons, do get some children to populate the earth, he requested. However, the 4 sages did not follow Brahma's words. Instead, they spent all their time singing the glory of Lord Narayana. This disregard of his wishes by his own sons angered Brahma immensely. He was very angry and he frowned, and then from the middle of his brow a dark-hued boy emerged. He was very strong and fierce looking. This boy was none other than Lord Rudra, the god of destruction. Father, give me a name. Also, give me a place to live, Rudra cried. Brahma smiled and said, Do not cry, my child. I will give you a name and also a place to live. Since you cried, you will be called Rudra, the one who cries. The heart, the senses, the vital air, the ether, the air, the fire, the water, the sun, the moon, and the austere penance will all be your abodes. You will be called Manu, Manu, Mahinas, Mahan, Shiva, Ritadvaja, Ugrareta, Bhava, Kala, Vamadeva, and Dritavrata. Dhi, Vritti, Ushana, Uma, Niyut, Sarpi, Ila, Ambika, Iravati, Sudha, and Diksha shall be your wives, who will be known as Rudranis. Accept your name, your abode, and spouses, and create numerous progeny to populate the earth. I will do as you please, Rudra said. Soon he begot many progeny who resembled him in appearance and nature. Soon all these beings started causing massive destruction everywhere. Brahmadeva was alarmed. Son, please do not get any more children. Your children have already caused great damage, he said. Then what should I do? Rudra asked. You go to the forest and do penance. That may bring happiness to all beings. All right, so be it, Rudra said. Bowing to Brahma as a mark of respect, he proceeded to the forest to meditate. Then Brahmadeva created 10 more sons who sprang up from different parts of his body. Sage Marichi from his mind, Sage Atri from his eyes, Sage Angira from his mouth, Sage Pulastya from his ears, Sage Pulaha from his navel, Sage Kratu from his hand, Sage Bhrigu from his skin, Sage Vasishta from his breath, Daksha Prajapati from his thumb, and Narada from his lap. Further, Dharma or righteousness arose from his right chest, and Adharma, unrighteousness, sprang from his back. From his heart sprang Kama, the god of love. Anger arose from his brows. Greed came from his lower lip, and Vak, the goddess of speech, came from his mouth. While Brahma was contemplating on creation, suddenly the 4 Vedas emerged from his 4 mouths. The Rig Veda, the Yajurveda, the Samaveda, and the Atharva Veda came from the mouths facing east, south, west, and north. Logic and other allied sciences also emerged. The detailed functions of the 4 main sacrificial priests and the procedures for conducting Vedic sacrifices also appeared from his mouth. Ayurveda, the science of medicine, Dhanurveda, the science of archery, Gandharva Veda, the science of music, and Sthapatya Veda, the science of architecture, also emerged from his 4 mouths. Itihasas and Puranas, considered as the 5th Veda, were released from his mouth. All the 4 pillars of virtue, Vidya, Dana, Tapa, and Satya, also emerged from him. He evolved the Gayatri mantra, and the mystic Om flowed from his heart. The various Vedic meters appeared from different parts of his body. To expand the creation, the divine Brahma's body became twofold. The male part became Swayambhuva Manu and the female part became his spouse Shatarupa. Then the creation multiplied very fast. Manu and Shatarupa had 5 children, 2 sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, and 3 daughters, Akuti, Devahuti and Prasuti. Akuti became the wife of Ruchi Prajapati, Devahuti the wife of Kardama Prajapati, and Prasuti the wife of Daksha Prajapati. The progeny of these 3 daughters filled the whole universe.